What is up, y'all? It has been a while. Let me fix that camera angle. All right. So as you can see, I am where all the introverts be at, is undisclosed location. But I'm here to talk about this video, pretty much react to this video that I saw back in July. Now, why am I reacting to a video that I saw in July in September? Well, because I am, nigga. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, though, for real, I'm here to react to this Subway Talks video that I saw back in July that I felt very passionately about, to say the very least. And I knew I wanted to make a video about it. I figured, you know what, now is the time to actually make a video about it since I don't have much work in the way and all this other shit in the way, to be honest with you, you know? And then if anybody knows me personally, or if you, I don't even think people who know me personally know I do this, but I usually take the month of August off, and August being the month after July anyway. So I usually take that off because it's the month of my birthday, or my birthday lies in that month, obviously. So yeah, I wasn't gonna record videos then either. So we're here in September. I'm back from my birthday break. Here I'm responding to, if I could share the screen with y'all, um, of Subway Talks. All right. So there's this video, and the host is talking to some random rando, as he does with these shows, with this show that he has, and he's speaking to a pretty young lady. I don't know her name. I don't know if she identifies as a woman. We'll see, but you know, she's speaking. He is speaking to someone, and she makes a comment on introverts being morally weak. Okay, uh, I believe her name is Joe Sunday. Since I guess that's the name of the individual, right? Um, I've seen the Subway Talks clips here and there. I don't know if that's his name, but it says featuring Joe Sunday, and that's her. So we are going to play this minute and 43-second video that's probably going to be longer because, yes, I am going to stop and pause throughout all of it. I took notes on what I wanted to say, but I'm going to have mental notes on it as well. But without further ado, let's play the video. And yeah, introverts, let's get on her. All right, respectfully, but let's get on her.
I disagree. That's quite rude. That's quite rude.
First of all, no. Let me go to all right, all the way. So let's start from the beginning and not just his initial response. All right, let's go.
So what's your take?
I think introverts are morally weak.
100% disagree. That's quite rude. That's quite rude.
That was the nicest way I could put it.
The nicest way to put it?
Yes. If you're an introvert, I think it's not your fault. I think you matter and you are loved by God.
The old pretentious God loves you, that I'm sure a lot of people who are not Christians don't really actually believe that God, one, they don't believe there is a God, and two, if they do believe there is a God, and they don't really believe in God's love, you know? I don't want to assume this young lady's, again, religious beliefs or political beliefs, but if I'm going to assume she takes on the belief that a lot of New York liberals take, and a lot of their takes is that Christianity, God in general, um, well, there's a mixed bag. There's some who don't believe in it, and then others who think that it is the evil of just everything, right? So if I'm to assume that her religious standpoint and political standpoint aligns with New York libtards, I'm going to assume a statement like that is not really from a genuine place of she really does believe God loves introverts. She's just saying that because to be shady. That's the I guess the nicest way I can say that, without making the video longer than it probably will be. But let's continue. All right. And I didn't need her confirmation, by the way, to know that God loves me, whether she means it or not. I already knew that. Thanks for the confirmation, though, loser.
But I think you need to try to change.
Come out of your shell a little bit.
Yes.
God loves you, but you need to try to change. I mean, I get that. Let me not nitpick. That's actually it's not a good statement here, but it is a statement that can be fitting for other folks, just not introverts.
Beings are social animals, right? The labor that we do is social, but we've set up these categories where we say some people do the social stuff and other people don't have to do it. Extroverts, we're taking intellectual risk.
And this is where I wanted to stop. I wanted to stop at 22 seconds, but I'm gonna clump them all together. She acknowledges how laborious the work of being social is, right? Then she mentions how being extroverted is extroverts in general are taking a social risk, right? They're taking a risk. First of all, nobody is making anybody, whether you can consider yourself an introvert or extrovert, nobody is out here making you look foolish, right? That's what she means by social risk. We risk making ourselves look dumb in a conversation or look dumb trying to attempt to, walk up to somebody. Maybe we trip and fall. Maybe we trip and fall in their lap. Maybe we trip and we spill a drink on them. Maybe we trip and we just, I don't know, kick their dog. I don't know, right? all the, all these things could happen to anybody, but she makes it seem as though we as a society created these rules and even the standards that people of society have created. You don't have to follow people. This has been stuff I've been saying for years and I'll continue to say until I'm blue as the sky and in my background, right? You don't have to follow these motherfucking rules. So this whole idea that extroverts are forced to do social labor or they're subjected, they're the only people who were forced to subjected to be looking foolish. Yeah, you look foolish in this video, young lady. Joe, what was her name? Joe something? Joe, Miss Joe, you kind of look you subjected yourself to that foolishness. The stuff that I'm saying here in this video, the stuff I said on Twitter, the comments of this video, and I will show the comments at the end. Trust me, I ain't the only one that feels the way I feel about Miss Joe, but you subjected yourself to that. You subjected yourself to that by making the statements that you made. All right. But let's go back to the comment she made where I'm looking at my notes if you're wondering. She brings up the labor inducing aspect that it is to be extroverted, right? A lot of the reasons she named or she will name, and we'll go over that, are literally reasons I have with being an introvert as well. For an example, I will name an example here. The whole small talk aspect. I don't do well. I used to be okay with small talk, but as I've gotten older, especially someone who just turned 34, as I've gotten older, small talk is like, all right, like if why are you talking to me what is the point of this conversation? And yeah, I'm like that now. Some people could say it's rude, it's this, it's that, but I'm someone that, I was just writing about this in my journal the other day about three things that I want to be going forward. I want to be more intentional, right? Intentional was one of the words that I use. I'm not going to go over everything I wrote in my damn diary, but I said I wanted to be more intentional, which means if I'm having a conversation with somebody, simply because they may not have journaled in their diary, or if they do journal, that they wanted to be more intentional with their life going forward and stuff, doesn't mean that me per se I'm gonna overlook that and be like, okay, because during a conversation, any conversation, if I'm having a conversation with somebody, I'm going to want to know what the point of this conversation is. It's not to be rude. It's not even to be transactional. It's not on some, you got to pay me to talk to me. Like you see women on TikTok say some goof ass shit like that, right? Especially when it comes to dating. By the way, I will make a video on just the problem with modern dating. So subscribe if you want to see that. That will be the only video that you would need to watch in regards to the issue of modern dating today. So definitely hit that subscribe button and continue to stay tuned. But as far as this video here, and what I'll say, I'm very much intentional with conversations, whether it be with strangers or with people that I know for a fact. People that I know think I'm very standoffish. It has nothing to do with me thinking I'm morally superior than anybody. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. There are some people I know that I'm like, I feel as though I'm morally superior, intellectually superior than y'all. I'm not gonna lie, but that is not the vast majority of everybody. The vast majority of the reason why, as to why I may seem closed off or reserved around folk, is because if I don't see a point in us having a conversation right now, I'm not gonna talk just to blow smoke in the air. You know what I'm saying? I know it's getting colder now, it's getting cooling off now, and people are gonna want to be around some heat. Wear a hoodie, wear a coat, don't blow hot air if you want that heat. You know what I'm saying? Carry a cup of hot chocolate around. We almost at hot chocolate season. Hey, you know what I'm saying? But do things that's gonna warm you up. But no, in all seriousness, I'm very much intentional, as I was saying. I'm very much intentional with everything I do. Whether that be conversations I have with people, and it doesn't have to be like some highbrow type conversation. When I say intentional, I simply just mean what is the point of this conversation? What is the point? Hit me up every morning on some, hey bro, what's going on? And then I tell you what's going on, and then you don't respond back, and then you hit me up the next morning saying, hey bro, what's going on? The same shit that was going on yesterday morning, or whatever else is going on for today. And I tell you, and then it's, yeah, that small talk gets very irritating, you know? So no, I'm not gonna want to talk to anybody who I'm gonna be like, bro, why you is there something you want? Ask. You want to talk about something per se? Do you want to talk about what I'm doing since you keep asking me about what I'm doing? Like what's the point of this conversation? What's the point of you hitting me up every single day, asking the same question with no follow through? You know? Intention, folk. But anyways, that was kind of a rant style. Let's continue.
A conversation. We're taking theatrical risk. But then
Theatrical risk. Theatrical risk meaning again, you have the opportunity to look foolish, literally, like you're speaking and maybe your voice cracks. Maybe you speak and you ate too much. You ate some Taco Bell, right? And you end up farting during the conversation. Or like I said, you approach somebody because you want to have a conversation and you trip over their dog. You end up sweet chin music in their dog. Their dog flies off the damn train, gets ran over by another train. A whole scene happens because you walked over and whoop-de-doo. That's crazy, I know, but I'm saying what this young lady, Miss Joe, was saying is extroverts are the only people who run the risk of looking foolish. And baby girl, if your whole thing in life is worried about how you are perceived by other people, then introverts aren't your problem. Introverts aren't a problem. It seems as there is a self-esteem issue happening here. If you're too worried about, if I say this, will I look this way? If I do this, will I look this way? That is not the fault of introverts. Simply because you see introverts not necessarily taking that risk, right? Or at least I'm gonna say she doesn't necessarily uh acknowledge when introverts do it, because I believe this woman is an introvert who doesn't necessarily want the title of being an introvert. And I will get into why I believe she says that when I let the video play out more.
introvert in the corner, they just get to be over there. And there's this narrative. Oh, they have their genius
Cook.
ideas
Let her
going on
cook.
over there that they wouldn't even deign to bestow upon us mortals. Let's hear it then. Because if you're an introvert, then why do I have to host the dinner party?
Does that make sense? If you're an introvert, why do I have to host a damn dinner party every time? It's because they're introverts. Miss Joe, you just answered their question. They're not the type that want to host parties, dinner parties, or whatever. I can tell you right now, I'm an introvert. I'm not the first, last, or the last individual that's gonna host a dinner party. You know what I'm saying? Host any party, to be real with you. I've never hosted a party. I'm just going to keep it real. But I've never thought to host one either. I never wanted to. And this has zero to do with me feeling like people are less superior than I am or I hate everybody and it has everything to do with I personally just don't feel like I need to host dinner parties or parties in general in order for me to connect to people. Have I been to dinner parties? Yeah, that I didn't host. Have I been to parties? Yeah, that I didn't host. I just didn't feel the need to host them. So to ask a question, if you're an introvert, why do you feel the need to host a dinner party? I think she messed up and she made herself kind of look as dumb as she fears that she made her look. And what she meant to ask was, and here me look at dumb. No, I actually wrote it down, right? You know, um, oh, I thought I wrote it down. See, I'm looking dumb right now, Miss Joe, but it is what it is. I don't think anyone is gonna. Well, let me not say that. I don't think anyone's gonna watch it. Who knows? But in all seriousness, though, what I believe she was trying to say, and I get why I didn't write it down because I wasn't gonna go into this, but we're here now, anyways, right? Excuse me. I believe what she was trying to say was if you're so intellectually superior, why are you why am I the one hosting the dinner parties? Wouldn't you want to host a dinner party just to show how superior you are? And again, it goes back to what I was just saying. Her whole thing seems to be very much performative of I want to show people how intellectually good I am, you know? I don't want to look foolish as well, right? Or I will go into that former part soon, right? About how she it just seems very much performative that the only reason why she thinks socializing is a thing is because it's a sparring match. It's an intellectual sparring match to see who's who's a smarter individual. And I've met many extroverts like her, many people like her in general, who whether they consider themselves extroverts or not, who believe every conversation that they have has to be a war of words in a sense of they have to go into every conversation looking like the smarter individual, looking like the more accomplished individual, looking like the more whatever they're trying to seek out, whatever reputation they're trying to seek out within this conversation, within this interaction with anybody, they go into it with, I have to come out of it looking like the more of this. Whereas I can't speak for all introverts and I don't want to. But me personally, I don't go into any conversation with that mentality. Again, I'm very much intentional with the intent of expressing whatever my thoughts are regarding whatever we're discussing. That's it. I want to go into it being able to represent myself in the best way possible. Right. And I mean genuinely myself, not what I want others to see me as, or not, what I'm hoping others see me as, like genuinely myself. And I guess that is a want because I do want people to genuinely see me at going into any interaction as that guy's himself. Oh, he's what he's saying right now that he's speaking his mind, you know? So that's what I think Miss Joe was saying, but let's let her continue. Let's let her cook, as the host was saying. She ain't cooking at all. She ain't cooking. All right.
Every day.
Oh, you feel like it's emotional labor to be the extrovert.
I think it's emotional labor. I think it's social labor. I think it's intellectual. I think it's basically every kind of labor.
You think intro
I'm gonna stop you right there, my good sir. This is why I said I believe she's an introvert who doesn't acknowledge her introversion, maybe because she doesn't want to be seen as the stereotypical introvert that she's made up in her head, and many others who unfortunately agree with her have stated introverts are. Or she is an introvert that is much more extroverted than the average introvert. Baby girl, we the same here. We the same here. I remember a lot of folks telling me when I was friends with a lot of introverts. I think I said this in a video a long, long, long time ago. I don't know if that video is still up. It probably is one of the videos that I ended up deleting or whatever the case is. I don't know, but I remember I was with a bunch of introvert friends, right? Because, well, introverts tend to like to hang out with other introverts. And what happened usually when we would be out and about, I would be the most extroverted introvert of the group of introverts. I would be the one most willing to flirt with the waitress or talk back and forth with, strangers or whatever, right? People will see us and obviously see a group of us and want to communicate with us. But the other people, great folks, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. They're your traditional, your classic introvert. They don't make eye contact, they don't want to talk. So I had to be the voice of the group. It would be situations where I tried to prop up someone else and be like, "Oh, that my guy Nate over here, he's studying this, da 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 da." Try to get them to open up more and feel comfortable talking about themselves or talking about something of interest and stuff. But I would still consider myself an introvert. And yes, all that stuff was mentally laboring. Not only did I have to carry myself, but I had to also, I didn't have to, but again, I felt the need to, let me put it that way, to make sure that my friends, the other introverts, looked all right as well. Like they didn't look like we were cool. You know what I'm saying? And when I say cool, meaning like we weren't freaking out right now because some stranger is talking to us. Some pretty girl is approaching us and talking to us, even though it's her job to do so. But like that's what I felt like I had to do, or at least I took on that mantle, or just to not, I guess, how can I say this? Not to just to like kind of lower the introvert energy, you know? Not lower it to the point where it's like there's no type of introvert energy and we're all just being someone that we're not, but just to kind of balance it out is what I'm trying to say. Balance out the group dynamic myself and the friends have. So people will say things like I remember folks saying this all the time, and this happened with an ex-girlfriend of mine who was an introvert. She's like, "You're really not an introvert like me," and it's like, "No, you know that I'm an introvert. You know for a fact that you like, you know that it's just I'm more social." And then I used to say it was mean as hell. I shouldn't have said it this way, but I used to say to her all the time, "Well, one of us got to do the talking." That's kind of fucked up to say, but I was pretty much saying, well, if we're going to go out, because you say you want to go out, but you don't necessarily, you're an introvert, so you don't really know, the spots around or this, that, and the third. And also you aren't really comfortable going out, but you also don't want to stay in and all this other stuff. So it's like, okay, we're both going out, we're both doing this thing. But when people are asking questions or talking or whatever, we're at a movie and stuff, we're sitting next to another couple. Um, it seems as though I'm the one doing all the communication with this couple. It seems weird, man. I'm not going front. Like dating an introvert woman is weird. All right. Now this is a gorgeous young lady. I ain't going to front. All right. I don't. She's not cooking, and I doubt she actually cooks. Miss Dinner Party. Y'all probably just Uber Eat every fucking thing. But anyways, anyways, it's kind of awkward because when a woman is super silent during that and during these like couple date things, people tend to think that she's being abused. Like the man is like, you don't speak until I speak until I say so, right? And it was nothing like that. I can tell you right now, it was nothing like that with that relationship. And I tried to explain that to her one time, and it was a weird thing. I felt bad because I felt like I was forcing this woman to come out of her shell just so I don't look like some abusive ass Tyler Perry husband or boyfriend, right? We weren't married, but for those with the Tyler Perry reference, it's usually a husband, not a boyfriend. But nonetheless, I didn't want to look like that to the public. I was just like this young lady, too damn worried about what folks had to how folks perceived me, that I wanted other people to step out of their comfort zone so I didn't look a certain way. When the fact of the matter is, I was not abusing her. The fact of the matter is, she just was naturally a quiet woman, and she wasn't comfortable speaking to anyone but me. It had nothing to do with me squeezing her arm, had nothing to do with me abusing nothing, because I didn't do any of that shit. She just naturally, genuinely only wanted to talk to me. But that's another tangent here. This lady is clearly an introvert. She talks about how emotional laborious it is. Like I said, she talks about how she just the mental aspect of it as well. Uh, how draining it is, as I said before, and yet she can identify with all of that, as with many introverts do, and yet she's shitting on us. She's shitting on her own people, essentially. Not surprised from a black New York lib, but let's continue.
Introverts need to come out of their shell. What if they don't want to? In an era of positivity around all bodies, all genders, all religions, all people.
All right, Mr. Woke.
No,
The funny thing about it, when she calls him Mr. Woke, it's like, baby girl, I know for a fact you didn't vote for Trump. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I am 99.9998% sure she did not vote for Donald Trump. So I am 99.998% sure that she doesn't really believe woke is an insult. You know what I'm saying? I just found that part because I've seen this video plenty of times. First of all, this episode or this clip came out July 15th. And like I said at the beginning, this has been something on my mind since July, but this didn't come up on, my well, when I say come up, I mean like in my notes to actually record this until this month. I took August off, as I stated. But yeah, lady, you look like the very woke you accuse this man of being. Simply because he's saying, "Hey, I see introverts and I am very understanding and accepting of them because I see them." You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, let's continue.
it's not woke. It's not woke. I just want introverts. They look at me and they go, man, that guy is so charismatic. Look at it, how cool he is. He's so cool.
Oh, you want
He is charismatic and cool. Shout out to him. I don't really care for the people he talk to. Not everybody. I mean, he's talking to a bunch of New Yorkers. I don't fuck with New Yorkers, but I like him.
you want a little?
I want an audience.
Audience.
Without my introverts, no one would be watching me. Extroverts, they're all trying to be the star.
How am I supposed to dog on someone who wants to be on Subway today?
I just want them to watch. We
Yeah.
need watchers.
Yeah.
Introverts, I love you all. Thank you so much for watching the show.
Wait, but extroverts watch you too.
No, they don't.
I watch you.
Oh, I need it.
It's kind of sad I had to shit on her the way that I did because she's actually a really cutie. Like she's a cutie. I like her. Aside from her terrible takes, man. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I support the black queens, whether they want to be called queen, whether they agree with me politically or not. You know what I'm saying? But this is where I stop the share. Oh, well, I was gonna show the comments. I'll show them after I make this point. But honestly, this is someone, as I stated, who is an introvert herself. She is an introvert who doesn't necessarily want to identify with being an introvert because, and she can identify with anything that she can call me Mr. Woke. That's fine, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? You want Mr. Woke's number? Let me not. But anyways, right? She, if she doesn't want to identify as an introvert, she doesn't have to. That's the thing about being an introvert, or at least someone like me who's an introvert. We don't give a fuck. We don't care. We're not looking for a crowd of people. When I talked about the friend group that I had that are introverts, we naturally came together. We naturally came together because that's just who we are. You know, we got interest and stuff, and then we just happen to be introverts. Aside from them thinking I'm not an introvert, right? You know, but I feel like she's an introvert who doesn't want to identify as one. Again, that's totally fine. But the problem is, whatever skewed mind that she has about introversion in her mind, I feel like this young lady was once an introvert, or at least like outwardly an introvert, was once outwardly an introvert, and was made to feel the way that she feels about introverts in this video clip that we just saw. She was made to feel that way about her. And then as she grew up, she grew out of that introversion because she didn't want to be seen as the very individual that she was, pretty much tormented to be felt, to be seen as, right? And now because of that, she is an anti-introvert introvert, right? Or as I stated, the an introvert who is a lot more extroverted than other introverts. And again, that's where her and I are the same because I get that a lot, especially again, not just with the friend groups, but what I'm doing here on YouTube. Introverts don't do shit like this. Introverts don't put themselves out there for the world to see. Now, when I say the world to see, I'm saying that literally it's on the internet. I'm not saying the whole world sees my fucking videos, so cut your shit. But introverts don't do stuff like that. Introverts don't have podcasts. You know, introverts don't do things like that. So again, when people are surprised when they find out you're an introvert, but you got multiple YouTube channels. That's number one. And on this one channel, you got over hundreds of videos on it, right? But you got two podcasts and you do those podcasts weekly. You know, you've been doing this stuff for years. Are you sure you're an introvert? Do you know what that means? Yeah, motherfucker, I know what it means. I know what it feels like. I know what it looks like. But again, there are introverts out there that are a lot more extroverted, a lot more, I don't want to say brave, but just a lot more adventurous, a lot more willing to put themselves out there on Front Street, even in space, but put themselves on Front Street than I guess like I say, your stereotypical classic introvert. Doesn't make me less than. And even if it did, for whatever reason, the rules that this young lady brought up, it it doesn't apply to true introverts. True introverts aren't going into conversations, like I said, with this aspect of I have to look a certain way. You know, I have to dominate this conversation in order for me to feel like I am a person of value. You know, her not wanting to identify as an introvert is not her problem, or it's not the problem I see here. I'm no psychologist or anything of that nature, but I'm simply just making an observation based on what I saw in this video, right? Her not wanting to identify as an introvert, again, like I said, just to reiterate, is not her biggest issue. The biggest issue that I see happening with her is I feel as though she is someone who feels like in order to be of someone of value, of morals, right? Because she said we were morally weak, right? In order to be of someone of value of morals, you have to go into a conversation. You have to be social with people, and not only be social with people, you have to then dominate. You have to show people. You have to show the world. You got to show some random guy on the train. You got to show everybody how morally superior you are. I don't go into conversations with that at all. At all. Not at all. You know what I'm saying? I don't think many introverts go into conversations with that mentality at all. This has zero to do with introversion versus extroversion and a lot to do with personal self perception. Maybe just internet culture taking over the mind of this young lady to make her think that everything has to be a fucking power move. Or every conversation, every interaction has to be a you versus me. Whether you're interacting with strangers or not, it has to be a situation to where somebody comes out looking like the foolish individual, and somebody comes out looking like the victor, the smarter, the more superior individual. Why go throughout life like that? Why would you want to go throughout life like that? Who why? If I am morally insuperior or morally weak because I don't want to go around in life measuring myself against other people based on whatever happened within the interaction, then I guess I'll stay morally weak and physically strong. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, yeah, that was weird. That was weird. One last point I have to make here, and again, looking at my notes, I think that she is someone who, when she was discovering her more extroverted side, again, I believe this woman's an introvert who just phased out. You know what I'm saying? But nah, when she discovered more of her extroverted side, she found it too easy to speak to other extroverts. What I mean by that is, again, she went into these conversations with other extroverts with the mentality of I'm here to dominate, right? And maybe I don't know this woman, but maybe it seemed on the outside that she was dominating those conversations, meaning that whenever she would talk to people, it may have looked like she was the smarter individual, right? Or the more morally superior individual, as again she puts it, using her words, by the way. If you keep wondering why I'm using these statements, right? Using the words that she made, right? The title was made based off her words. So it's like, yeah, like she went into these conversations, and it's like the super duper pro athlete, low. Let me go into boxers, right? There have been boxers who dominated their weight class and was like, this is boring now. I want to go into another weight class, right? Usually it happens with the smaller boxer, right? But there have been bigger boxers that, lost weight just so they can get into a smaller weight class just to see if that challenge of, because they're so used to fighting in that, that bigger weight class to the point where it's like, they're used to being a big boy. But nah, like when the more smaller weighter class guys are like, I've dominated this weight class. I've beat this dude 8 times. I've dominated this class. I want to bulk up some more and probably face a challenge. That's what I that's what I'm comparing herself to when she goes into these, or when she was, challenging extroverts. The only difference between her and, well, there's a lot of difference between her and boxers, but maybe she got bots. Maybe she don't see this and wanna square up with me. I ain't trying to square up with you, baby girl. Trust me. But you know, um, the difference is that's a sport. Treating everyday interactions like a sport, to me, as morally insuperior as I am, apparently, I don't think that's right to do to human beings, whether you know them or not. To treat the everyday interactions like it's some sport. I personally don't agree with that. I personally would not be fine if someone were to approach me, whether I know them or not, and went into that conversation with the notion of I've got to beat him and make him look a certain way so I can look a certain way. That's really one way that's a real like quick fire way to anger me. So if you want to do that, go ahead and do that. But like, yeah, I don't think that's right. That is not right. So I again, if you want to go into a sport, if you want to look a certain way, you want to compete, play a sport. Play a sport, enter a competition that is actually a competition. Because conversations, unless there's a conversation competition out there that I don't know of, then treating it like it's a sport with average everyday people, nah, that's not cool. That's not cool to me. And again, I feel as though she is someone who went into every conversation she has had with extroverts, even the ones in her life, the ones she's hosting a dinner party for, right? An Uber party is what I'm gonna call it. Because again, I just think they just come together at her place and they order Uber Eats, right? Dinner party. But anyways, um she goes into those conversations and she either dominates by because she surrounds herself with some fucking idiots out there, and there are some real live idiots out here. Let's not front like there isn't, you know what I'm saying? But she either surrounds herself with them folks and then she wins those competitions, or she truly is a smarty. You know what I'm saying? She is as smart as she looks, right? Um, that still does wouldn't give her the right to then say, I'm bored of this extrovert weight class. Introverts, I'm coming to you, nigga. Introvert Hogan, I'm coming for you, nigga. Like, nah, that's not what's going to happen. And her problem with us is not the fact that we are morally superior, morally inferior, right? It's the fact that no introvert is stepping up to her. No introvert is feeling the need to want to lyrically spar with her, have a little verbal spars with her because we don't give a fuck. Like I said, we don't care. We're not gonna say, hey, oh my gosh, she's calling me out. Oh my God, I've gotta. No, we're gonna say, and then someone's gonna say, well, if you don't care, why are you making this video? Views, nigga, and to get my point out there I have a great point to make about this to respond to this video. But when I say I don't care, I mean I simply do not care if her and I were to actually have a conversation, whether it be via Zoom or even in person, right? I'm only 4 hours away from New York, so I can easily go there. She can come here, whatever the case is, right? But whether we actually meet in person or not, I'm not going to go into that conversation with the idea of, again, what if I look this way? What if I look that way? Da 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 da. It's going to be a conversation that's most likely going to be about what I said here, what she said on that clip. And I'm going into it, as I stated before, I'm going into it making sure that I check off everything I got to say and then responding to anything else. And then other than that, it's going to be cool. Can we talk about something else? You know what I'm saying? But no, for real, like, why else are we here? I said my point, you said your point. Is there any other reason as to why we're speaking? If not, let's go our separate ways then. Respectfully, you do you, I do me. That's how I will go into that situation. Not on some, I'm gonna make it Miss Joe look bad and she's gonna be like, I'm gonna make Mr. Ernest look whatever. Her intentions are her intentions, but again, and even if people are like, "Oh my God, Miss Joe just cooked Ernest," she didn't cook me. She Uber Eats me, by the way, because she don't cook. And number two, the fuck I care for? Is that gonna like? Am I gonna lose money? Is money on the line here? No. Your reputation's on the line. What reputation, nigga? What rap? You know what I'm saying? You don't watch this shit. You don't be buying into my books. In fact, it's gonna give me rap. It's gonna like people gonna be like Miss Joe cooked, this individual. Her name's not Miss Joe again, but Joe cooked this person. Oh, this person writes books, so let me go check him out. This person got a YouTube channel. This person got a podcast. This person does. That's how I'm gonna view the situation. There is no cooking me. There is no Uber Eats in me. There is no none of that. You know what I'm saying? There is simply you and me, and whatever happens, conversation wise. All right. But yeah, our introverts morally weak. Before I end it off, let me share once again the screen. Absolutely not. I think that, again, if you are someone who measures every single conversation with the intent of dominating a conversation, coming out trying to look like you are the smarter individual, that says more about who you are as an individual than it does anybody else. Than it does anybody else. Because I can tell you right now, as an introvert, I don't go into conversations, like I said, with that mentality that I gotta look better than somebody else. That's not the basis of all the conversations I have with anybody. It's literally, I have something to say, I'm gonna say it, I want to say it. I think the my biggest, I guess, fight for being an introvert or as an introvert is just actually saying what's on my mind. That's the biggest fight and struggle that I feel introverts have. Not trying to look a certain way in front of people, but to actually say what's on your mind and express it the way that you want to. Because we you thinking we're critical of other people, nigga, we judging ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, we could be very critical of others, but if you were to hear the thoughts that we say about ourselves, I think you'd have a lot more sense. And I think Joe knows that. So the fact that seems to be a lack of sensitivity seem like projection, ma. But anyways, we're gonna go over some comments that I felt was because I know a lot of people out there, y'all on the internet, y'all think that I just be talking shit. That I'm the only one that's on a hill. I'm the only one in space apparently that feels the way that I feel. So Joe Sunday is her name, right? Shout out to Miss Sunday, Miss Joe Sunday. All right, but if you think I'm the only one that feels the way that I feel, let's look into some comments. First of all, you see the first comment by yours truly, 830, Mr. 830, aka You Love Ernest. That's the Twitter name over here. I know the Mr. ain't in the title, but you gonna address me as such, Mr. 830. If you don't want to address me by my first name, Ernest, or the whole damn name You Love Ernest. Anyways, of course I had to say what I had to say. Another intellectually weak know-it-all New York libtard with a superiority complex. Need I say more? Well, you did say more, Mr. 830 in this video. I didn't say more in the tweet because I knew I was going to make this video, right? So, there is that. Fahad, or however you pronounce that. I am mispronouncing that as my American fault, but she is an introvert masking as an extrovert. Exactly what I thought, right? Because a true extrovert doesn't think of socializing as labor because it comes naturally to them. And it is that and if that's what she wants to do, great. But don't enforce the burden you put on yourself onto others. Mr. I'm gonna call him Mr. F just to prevent from me from mispronouncing his name. Shout out to you. That's why I liked your comment, because I totally agree. All right, Joe Hodler. That's an easy name. Um, says that she doesn't know the definition of introvert. I didn't like this comment. It's a comment that's on the video, people. These aren't my likes, even though a lot of them are in my likes. But I didn't like the comment because I don't agree with Joe Holder. She absolutely does know what an introvert is. She perfectly described it in the video when she talked about the emotional labor and everything else that comes with being an introvert. She knows because she is one, as myself, as um, Mr. Fod or Mr. F pointed out, she is one. She knows what it means to be an introvert. Not to say that simply because she knows that everybody who knows the definition is an introvert. No, you don't have to be an introvert to know the definition of a, you don't have to be anything to know the definition of any word or any title, right? But she does absolutely know. She just, again, for whatever reasons, doesn't want to identify with it or no longer identifies with it. And that is her prerogative. But to say that she doesn't know, yeah, I couldn't like the comment because she absolutely does know. All right. The next comment after that is if being extroverted drains you, you're not an extrovert. Well, shout out to Cole, because again, like I said, she talks a lot about how laborious it is to be an extrovert. Baby girl, that's because you're an introvert. Enough said. All right, or at least enough said with that point, I believe. As an introvert, I'm not morally weak. I just don't perform my values for applause. Well, I'm gonna give you your applause. I don't know how to pronounce your name, BK. I think it's BK World or BK Word one. Nonetheless, I'm gonna give you your applause because that's exactly what I was saying as well. It's very much performative. That's what I meant by it's very much I have to look a certain way whenever I'm in conversations with people. That's performative. I don't need a stage to have a soul. Woo! Cooked Joe Sunday. All right. And I'm talking about actual cooking, not Uber Eatings. All right. Next comment by James. Intro slash estro has absolutely nothing to do with morals. She needs a check. Absolutely. Absolutely. The crazy thing is, when I first saw that comment, I thought about Policy Burner's quote here, where they say, that's an awful take. It's similar to a non-religious person saying you can't have good morals if you're pretty much, I mean, you can't have good morals if you're a non-religious person. I thought of that, and then literally right after like seconds after that, that's when I saw this comment here, you know? So yeah, I agree with both James and Policy Burner. This whole aspect of, because again, her idea of what's morally good for the world is being social, which, I understand we are social creatures. And I have it here in my notes. I failed to say it. I meant to say this earlier. There is no way in hell introverts can go through life without being extroverted, without being social. I have it here. If we want something in life, we have to be social. We have to be extroverted, or else we don't get anything in life. So again, that was a comment that I wrote down after I saw the point of her saying things like extroverts have to do this and introverts don't have to do, like they get to sit back in life. No, we don't get to sit back in life. Closed mouths don't get fed. Have you heard of that saying? Miss Sunday, Miss Joe Sunday. Closed mouths don't get fed. That's not just a metaphor when it comes to food. When you're saying when you are hungry and you don't express that you're hungry, so you're just sitting there starving. No, it's a life metaphor. If you don't speak up, you don't get the things that you want in life. Nothing happens for you. So any introvert who thinks they can just coast, and yeah, I'm subliminally talking about the people I know who are introverts. You know what I'm saying? If they think they could just coast on being an introvert and not saying anything, you're gonna have a hard life, buddy. A hard one. All right. This person, I believe their name is Cam. Cam says, Not gonna trick me into doing your emotional, intellectual, and social labor. Nice try. I thought that comment was funny. I and I think these two are the last ones. Uh Pretty much Worms has the same sentiments as the previous one. You're not gonna get me to carry your emotional labor. Max's response. I love Max's response because I love this meme. I love the show. It's The Office. I love Steve Carell. Also, that was literally like that was the that Steve Carell's response was my politically correct response. I'm just going to keep it a buck. It was my response had I not made this, had I not made that tweet. But I was like, I guess I was feeling real petty July 15th to the point where I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to let baby girl slide. No. So I felt the need to leave that comment because she says she watches Subway, what's it called? Subway chat, Subway talks, right? She says she watches it. She's like introverts at the end, right? Where she gives homeboy the look that I got jealous of because I wish she looked at me like that. But nah, like she says she watches the show. So I was like, okay, bet if you watch the show, you must follow them on social media, which means I'm gonna leave this comment. And this also means I'm gonna leave this video too. I'll make this video too. Right. So yeah, that's what prompted me really. Had she not said she watched the show, I probably would have still replied, maybe. But I'm not gonna front. That put some and that made some embers. That put some more coal in the fire because it was like, yeah, she watches the show. I'm guessing she looks at the comments of the show too, right? Ah. Anyways, this has just been another video. And y'all let me know what you think. You think I'm tripping about if you've been watching this and you not, a short attention span having ass motherfucker, then cool. Since you're still here, you might as well hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts, share, subscribe as well to all my fellow introverts out there. We are not morally inferior. We are not inferior beings at all. Be yourself, be able to express yourself the way that you want to, and I fuck with you. All right. Until next time, until next video. You see me when you see me. Peace out.